So hi there students, welcome back again to another video lesson for grade 9 mathematics quarter 4. So we have done discussing the 6 trigonometric ratios, which are sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. And then as well as the application of a scientific calculator in order to determine the trigonometric ratio or the value of the trigonometric ratios given any angle, and finding the measure of an angle given the value of a trigonometric ratios. So dito sa ating susunod na video lesson, so we don't need to use a calculator, a scientific calculator, in order to determine the trigonometric ratios of special angles. So kaya nga special angles sila kasi na-derive sila para at least makuha yung kanilang values nang hindi ginagamitan ng calculator. So, dalawa po yung ating ipapresent. So, unang-una na dyan is yung 30, 60, 90 degrees right triangle. And then, yung pangalawa naman is 45, 45, 90 right triangle. So, kung paano nagkakaiba yung mga special angles na yan, special right triangles na yan, so malalaman nyo po sa ating video lesson. So, for our lesson objective, first, we will derive the values of trigonometric ratios of special angles using special right triangles. So, bago ko i-discuss sa inyo kung ano yung mga values ng trigonometric ratios of special angles, so mahalaga na malaman nyo kung paano sila i-derive. And then, that is the time that we will find the values of trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, ayan. Una muna yung derivation and then yan. And then lastly, we will find the length of the sides of a right triangle using special angles. So, i-consider natin dyan yung concepts ng special angles para makuha natin yung sukat ng mga sides ng right triangle. So, sides lang po ang kukunin natin dyan, hindi po yung angles. So, may specific video lesson tayo dyan na kung saan kinuha natin yung sukat ng mga angles. So, let's start our derivation. So, first, 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle. So, we will use an equilateral triangle to derive. So, ano nga ba ang equilateral triangle? So, an equilateral triangle is a type of triangle, is a kind of triangle wherein all sides are equal. So, kadalasan kapag equilateral triangle, hindi lang sides yung equal. Nagkakaroon na rin ng equiangular. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng angles niya ay equal. So, kapag equilateral and equiangular, that is the time na tatawagin po siyang regular polygon. Okay, all sides are equal and all angles are congruent. So, ayan. Derive natin. So, una muna natin gagawin is ilalagay natin yung sukat ng sides ng equilateral triangle natin. So, meron yung markings na nilalagay para ma-denote na equilateral. Okay, so ibig sabihin, ayan, meron siyang tatlong marks, ibig sabihin pare-pareho ang sukat. So, next, magdodraw tayo ng perpendicular bisector from the tip of the triangle, yung sa taas, yung vertex angle niya, hatiin natin pababa. Okay, so and then, ang perpendicular bisector na yan, hinati niya yung base, yung nasa baba. And then, dahil nga perpendicular bisector yon, nag-form po ng right angle, dalawang right angle. Ibig sabihin, yung ating equilateral triangle ay nahati sa dalawa. Okay, so pwede natin yung paghiwalayin. So, bago natin paghiwalayin, so i-label lang natin yung sukat ng mga angles ng equilateral triangle. So, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. So, dahil equiangular din, okay, so lahat ng angles ng triangle natin, equilateral triangle natin, are all 60 degrees. And then, since nahati yung sa taas, ayan, so ibig sabihin yung 60 degrees dun sa vertex angle niya, dito, mahahati sa dalawa, kaya naging 30 degrees na lang. So, 30 degrees silang pareho. Anyway, kapag pinag-add naman natin yan, 30 plus 30, magiging 60 pa rin. So, saan ang 90 degrees angle? Nandito po sa ating ibaba. Ayan. Yung nakikita nyong symbol ng right angle, ayan, 90 degrees po yan. Kaya 30, 60, 90. So, ngayon, pag hiwalayin natin yung ating equilateral triangle. So, isa lang muna. So, isa lang naman ang ating kailangan. Okay, so ayan, hiniwalay natin yung isa. So, i-label ulit natin. So, this is 30 degrees. This is 60 degrees. And then, yung sukat ng ating hypotenuse. So, dahil naging right triangle siya. So, this is 2. And then, ano ang magiging sukat ng base? Tsaka yung isang side niya. Okay, so, di ba sa ibaba, yung base niya, 2 ang sukat. So, dahil hinati natin yan using perpendicular bisector, yung 2, i-divide natin sa 2. Kaya, itong portion na itong sukat niya 1. Ito naman, 1 din. Okay. Next. Paano natin makukuha yung sukat ng isa pang side? Ito. Okay. So, ang gagamitin po natin dyan is Pythagorean theorem. Okay. So, ibig sabihin dyan, i-apply natin yun. Ayan. So, halimbawa, ang A natin is ito. Then, ito naman ang B. And then, ito naman ang ating C. So, if A is 1, B is the unknown, and then C is 2. Ayan. So, 1 square plus A is equal to 1 plus B squared. Next, 2 squared, that is 4. And then, we will subtract 1 to both sides. So, magiging B squared is equal to 4 minus 1. And then, B squared is equal to 3. And then, extract both sides of the equation para matanggal yung square. So, square root of B square, magiging B na lang. Okay, so makakancel yung radical symbol. And then, square root of 3 is not a perfect square. Kaya magiging square root of 3 na lang. So, ibig sabihin, yung isang side natin measures square root of 3. So, let us have the 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle theorem. So, consider the figure. Ito po yung na-derive natin kanina. So, in a 30, 60 degree, 90 degree right triangle, so the length of the hypotenuse is twice the length of the shorter leg. Okay, ibig sabihin, kung ano yung sukat ng ating shorter leg, dodoblihin lang po natin yun. Yun po ang sukat ng hypotenuse. And then, kung hypotenuse ang given at hinahanap yung sukat ng shorter leg, okay, so ang gagawin lang po natin is i-divide lang po natin sa 2 yung hypotenuse. So, in this case, ang sukat po ng hypotenuse natin, ito siya, is 2. Nasaan yung shorter leg natin? Ito po. Shorter leg. So, yan ang shorter leg. Ito naman ang tinatawag nating longer leg. So, anong masasabi natin sa relationship ng longer leg tsaka yung shorter leg? So, the length of the longer leg is square root of 3 times the length of the shorter leg. Okay, so, kung i-express natin yan in terms of x, ibig sabihin, itong hypotenuse, ano siya? 2x. Ito namang shorter leg natin is x. X lang siya. And then, itong square root of 3 naman, magiging square root of 3x or x square root of 3. So, let us start our discussion for 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree right triangle kung ang special angle natin is 30 degrees. Okay, so kumbaga yung theta natin dito is 30 degrees. Okay, so the ratio of the sides of the triangle is 1 is to square root of 3 is to 2. Tandaan natin na yung hypotenuse ay mas mahaba o pinakamahaba sa dalawang sides natin. And then, dodoblihin niya yung sukat ng shorter leg. So, ayan. Special angle wherein 30 degrees muna tayo. So, kumbaga, yung 30 degrees natin dito ang magsisilbing theta. Okay. So kung ang theta natin is 30 degrees, ano ang kanyang opposite side? Siyempre, ito po mismo. Ayan, ito ang kanyang opposite side, yung 1. So ayan, label natin itong opposite side. So kung yan ang opposite side, nasa ang adjacent side? Siyempre, nandito po. Next, ang 2 naman ang magiging hypotenuse. So, sin theta na tayo. Kunin natin yung value niya. So, di ba ang sin theta, O over H, opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite is 1, and then hypotenuse is 2. So, ibig sabihin, kapag tinanong tayo what is sin 30 degrees, the answer is 1/2. Next, for cosine naman, that is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, adjacent side measures square root of 3. And then, hypotenuse measures 2. So, ibig sabihin, kapag cosine 30 naman, ang tinanong sa atin, the answer is square root of 3 over 2. And then, pag tangent naman, that is TOA, so opposite over adjacent. So, opposite natin is 1. And then, adjacent natin is square root of 3. And then, kailangan natin yan i-rationalize. So, i-multiply natin both numerator and denominator by square root of 3 para matanggal yung radical sa denominator. So, 1 times square root of 3 is square root of 3. And then, square root of 3 times square root of 3, that is square root of 9. Basically, 9 is a perfect square. So, the answer is 3. So, if you are asked what is tangent 30, the answer is square root of 3 over 3. Next, cosecant naman tayo. Ito po is ang reciprocal ng sine. So, magiging H over O. Hypotenuse over opposite. So, 1/2 magiging 2 over 1. 2 over 1 or 2. So, ibig sabihin, cosecant 30 is 2. Next, secant naman, ito yung reciprocal ng cosine. So, that is hypotenuse over adjacent. So, hypotenuse is 2. And then, adjacent is square root of 3. Again, we need to rationalize. So, magiging 2 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 over square root of 3. And then, we multiply. So, 2 times square root of 3, that is 2 square root of 3. And then, square root of 3 times square root of 3, that is 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So, the value of secant 30 is 2 square root of 3 all over 3. Next, cotangent theta naman is the reciprocal of tangent theta. So, imbis na opposite over adjacent, magiging adjacent over opposite. So, adjacent is square root of 3. And then, opposite side measures 1. So, square root of 3 over 1, that is equal to square root of 3. So, cotangent 30 degrees, that is square root of 3. So, ayan, using 30 degrees yan. So, next naman, yung theta natin is 60 degrees. So, label natin yung ating theta. Ito siya. Theta is equal to 60 degrees. So, kung yan ang theta natin, 60 degrees, nasaan ang ating opposite side? Ito po. Okay. So, ito ang ating opposite. And then, ito naman ang ating adjacent. And then, of course, yung hypotenuse. Again, nagbabago ang posisyon ng opposite side, o yung value ng opposite and adjacent side, depende po dun sa theta. Pero yung hypotenuse, ganun pa rin po naman, kasi longest side siya. So, ganun pa rin ang ratios ng sides ng triangle. 1 is to square root of 3 is to 2. So, dun tayo sa sin theta, sin 60 degrees. Opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite is square root of 3. Hypotenuse is 2. So, sin 60 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. Next, what about cosine 60? So, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So, adjacent is 1. And then, cosecant ay hypotenuse is 2. So, therefore, cosine 60 degrees is 1/2. Next, tangent. That is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so opposite is square root of 3. And then adjacent is 1. So square root of 3 over 1, that is simply square root of 3. Next, cosecant 60 degrees. So ito po ang reciprocal ng sine. So hypotenuse over opposite. So hypotenuse measures 2. And then opposite side measures square root of 3. So rationalize, multiply natin both numerator and denominator by square root of 3. So 2 times square root of 3, 2 square root of 3. And then yung sa baba, square root of 3 times square root of 3, that is square root of 9. Then the square root of 9 is 3. So therefore, cosecant 60 degrees is equal to 2 square root of 3 all over 3. Next, secant 60 degrees. So secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So magiging hypotenuse over adjacent. So adjacent natin is 2. And then, hypotenuse natin is 2. And then adjacent is 1. So 2 over 1, that is simply 2. Finally, cotangent 60 degrees, that is the reciprocal of tangent. So that is adjacent over opposite. Ayan. So adjacent measures 1 over opposite square root of 3. Again, multiplying the numerator and denominator by square root of 3. Tandaan natin, basta yung denominator niya is a radical. So, kailangan po natin i-rationalize. Tanggalin natin yung radical. Kailangan ang radical natin, kung hindi man siya mawala, mapunta po siya sa numerator. So, 1 times square root of 3, square root of 3. And then square root of 3 times square root of 3, square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So, ibig sabihin, cotangent 60 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 3. So, after natin sa 30, 60, 90, right triangle, so next naman natin i-derive is yung 45, 45, 90 degree right triangle. So, using a square, so i-derive natin yung 45, 45, 90 isosceles right triangle. So, when we say isosceles triangle, or isosceles right triangle, ayan. So, two legs are congruent. Okay. Pareho ng sukat. So, ibig sabihin wala tayong longer leg, wala tayong shorter leg. It's because pareho lang yung sukat ng legs. So, ito po yung ating square. Okay. Next, ang gagawin po natin dyan, so, ile-label muna natin yung kanyang mga angle. So, all sides and all angles are equal and congruent. Ayan, and then, para mapakita yung isosceles right triangle, kailangan po nating hatiin yan sa gitna. So, ayan, pasensya na sa ating drawing. So, hinati natin yung square sa dalawa, na na-form yung dalawang isosceles right triangle. And then, yung sukat ng isang side, lahat ng sides ng square ay 1. Okay, ibig sabihin, kung ito leg siya, ito leg. Ito leg. Ayan, ito din leg. Kaya pareho silang 1. Ngayon, paano natin makukuha yung sukat ng hypotenuse? Okay, again, ganun pa rin naman. Gagamit tayo ng Pythagorean theorem. So, ayan. So, kunin muna natin yung isang isosceles right triangle. So, dito, ang sukat halimbawa nito, label natin as ABC. So, this is A. This is B, which measures 1. So, then A is equal to 1. And then, what is C? The hypotenuse. Okay, so dito, A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. So consider that A is equal to B, di ba? Okay, A is equal to B is equal to 1. So ibig sabihin, parehong 1 ang ating isa-substitute. Okay. Next, 1 square, that is 1. Then 1 square again is 1. Equals C squared. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Equals C squared. So C squared is equal to 2. And then we extract both sides. So square root of C squared, this will become C. And then 2 is not a perfect square, kaya square root of 2. So ibig sabihin, ang sukat po ng ating hypotenuse is square root of 2. Ayan. So 1, 1, square root of 2. So 45, 45, 90 degrees, right triangle theorem. So yan po yung ating na-derive kanina. So in a 45, 45, 90 right triangle, isosceles right triangle, so the length of the two legs are congruent. Okay, again, wala po tayong shorter and longer leg dun sa dalawang legs na yan dahil pareho lang po sila ng sukat. And then the length of the hypotenuse is square root of 2 times the length of the leg, of a leg. Ayan, yung na-derive natin kanina, square root of 2. So, kunin naman natin ngayon yung trigonometric ratios ng 45, 45, 90 degree right triangle. So, ayan yung kanyang illustration, yung na-derive natin kanina. So, the ratio of the sides of the triangle is 1 is to 1 is to square root of 2. So, dun po sa 30, 60, 90, ang ratio ng sides, 1 is to square root of 3 is to 2. Okay. So, start tayo sa sin theta. So, by the way, so since 45, 45, 90 degrees triangle, right triangle tayo dito, yung legs nga ay pareho ng sukat, ibig sabihin, yung opposite side and adjacent side ay pareho din ng value, which is 1. So, sin theta, that is opposite over hypotenuse. So, opposite side measures 1. And then, hypotenuse is square root of 2. Multiplying both numerator and denominator by square root of 2. So, magiging square root of 2 over 2. So, paano naging 2 yung denominator natin? Square root of 2 times square root of 2, that is square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. So, ibig sabihin, sin 45 degrees is equal to square root of 2 over 2. Next, cosine naman tayo, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, ganun din, 1 over square root of 2. So, same process lang din po. Pareho lang po sila ng ratio. Square root of 2 over 2. Next, for tangent theta naman, that is opposite over adjacent. So, since magkapareho ang sukat ng opposite and adjacent, that is 1 over 1 or 1. Okay. Next, cosecant theta. So, ito po ang reciprocal ng sin theta. So, that is hypotenuse over opposite. So, hypotenuse is square root of 2. And then, opposite measures 1. So, square root of 2 over 1, that is square root of 2. Next, secant theta, reciprocal ng cosine theta. So, magiging hypotenuse over adjacent. So, yung hypotenuse natin is square root of 2. And then, yung adjacent side natin is 1. Square root of 2 over 1, that is square root of 2. So, kung yung sine natin equal sa cosine, yung ratio nila, ganun din po dun sa reciprocal. So, cotangent theta, ganun din. So, adjacent over opposite. That is 1 over 1 or 1. So, ayan po lahat ng trigonometric ratios ng ating special angle na 45, 45, 90 degrees. So, to summarize our discussion, ito po yung ating mga trigonometric ratios of special angles. So, pwede nyo yung i-screenshot. So, para mas magkaroon kayo ng guidance, para mabilis nyo masagutan. Like, for example, kapag tinanong kayo, what is tangent 45 degrees? Ayan. Tignan nyo lang yan. Pwede nyo i-memorize yan. Makukuha nyo agad yung sagot na 1. Okay, so makakatulong yung mga values na yan, lalo na sa ating susunod na video lesson, which is evaluating trigonometric expressions. So let us now move on to an activity. So yung activity natin is, what's my length? Okay. So determine the length of the sides of the following right triangles. So applied pa rin po dito syempre yung ating discussion kanina, yung 30, 60, 90, and then 45, 45, 90. So una muna, number 1. So ayan. What is the value of P and R? So basically dito, yung given angle natin is 30 degrees. So ibig sabihin, yun yung theta. So kung yun ang theta, ibig sabihin, yung P, ito po ang nagsisilbing opposite side. And then, yung Q, ito naman yung ating adjacent side. So, R, ito naman yung ating hypotenuse. So, paano natin makukuha yung length? Okay. So, kung 30-60 degree, 30-60-90 degree right triangle yon, ang gagawin lang natin, una muna P. So, para makuha yung P, yung Q, i-divide lang po natin sa square root of 3. So, kung anong sukat ng Q, i-divide sa square root of 3. So, P is equal to Q over square root of 3. So, Q is 15 over square root of 3. So, kailangan natin yang i-rationalize. So, multiply square root of 3 to both numerator and denominator. So, 15 times square root of 3, 15 square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3, that is square root of 9. Square root of 9 is 3. So, that's the final answer? No. So, pwede nating i-simplify yung 15 saka 3. Meron silang GCF which is 3. So, 15 divided by 3, that is 5. So, that will be 5 square root of 3. So, ito po ang sukat ng P. 5 square root of 3. So, lagay natin dito. P is equal to 5 square root of 3. Next, what about R? So, diba, dun sa, kung ang theta natin is 30 degrees, okay, so tatandaan natin, kapag 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle, so, yung sukat ng hypotenuse ay doble dun sa sukat ng shorter leg. So, basically, yung shorter leg natin dito is P. Okay, so, ibig sabihin, R is equal to 2P. So, kung ano yung sukat ng P, dodoblihin lang natin. So, R is equal to 2 times the value of P, 5 square root of 3. So, 2 times 5 square root of 3, that is 10 square root of 3. And then, pwede nating i-check yan using Pythagorean theorem. Kung tama ba yung mga nakuha nating values. So, ayan. P is 5 square root of 3 and then R is equal to 10 square root of 3. So, ayan. Yan po yung ating mga kasagutan. Next, number 2. So, dito, yung shorter leg natin is 14. Okay, so, yung O. So, ibig sabihin, yung M natin dito is our longer leg. And ratio nung sukat ng longer leg dun sa shorter leg natin is square root of 3 times. So, ibig sabihin, para makuha yung M, yung O, multiply po natin sa square root of 3. So, yung sukat ng O is 14. And then, times square root of 3, 14 square root of 3. Okay. Next, N naman. So, kung ano yung sukat ng shorter leg, doblehin lang natin. So, magiging N is equal to 2O. Okay. Hindi po yan 20 at 2O. So, N is equal to 2 times 14. That is 28. So, M is equal to 14 square root of 3. And then, N is equal to 28. Now, so, ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano gagamitin ang Pythagorean theorem para i-check kung tama ang ating mga naging sagot. So, dito magiging ganito siya. M squared plus O squared is equal to N squared. So, M natin is 14 square root of 3. And then, yung O naman is 14. And then, N squared is 28. So, kailangan mag-equal yan both sides. So, 14 square root of 3 square. So, 14 times 14, that is 196. Then, square root of 3 times square root of 3, square root of 9. So, square root of 9 is 3. 14 square is 196. 28 square, that is 784. So, 196 times 3, that is 588. Plus 196. So, kapag in-add natin yung 588 tsaka 196, we'll get 784. And that is equal to 784. This means that yung nakuha nating mga sagot, M and N are both correct. Next, for number 3 naman. So, as you can see, sa number 3, ang given lang natin is yung sukat ng hypotenuse. Okay, so paano natin makukuha yung sukat ng dalawang legs? So, di ba? Yung sukat ng hypotenuse ay dodoblehin ng sukat ng shorter leg. So, yung shorter leg natin dito is F. So, ibig sabihin, para makuha yung F, yung H, i-divide natin sa 2, yung hypotenuse. So, F is equal to 24 over 2, and that is 12. So, the measure of the shorter leg is 12. Next, yung longer leg naman natin, G. So, i-multiply natin yung shorter leg natin sa square root of 3. So, F square root of 3. So, G is equal to 12 square root of 3. So, ganun lang po kasimple kunin ang sukat ng G, yung longer leg natin. So, ayan, F is equal to 12 and G is equal to 12 square root of 3. So, kung paano ko pinakita yung solusyon natin dun sa Pythagorean theorem, dun sa second example natin, ganun din po natin ipapakita dito. Next, for number 4 naman, so dito naman, ang triangle natin is 45, 45, 90 degrees. Mas madali to kaysa dun sa kanina. Okay, kasi dito, 2 legs are equal. So, yung 2 legs natin dito, yung R tsaka S. So, paano makukuha yung S? So, S is equal to R, di ba? Therefore, if R is equal to 16, then S is also 16. Next, T naman, yung hypotenuse natin, i-multiply lang natin yung isang leg sa square root of 2. Halimbawa, gagamitin natin R. So, R square root of 2. Or pwede rin namang S square root of 2. So, T is equal to R square root of 2, that is 16 square root of 2. So, ayan. Yan na po yung sukat ng hypotenuse. And for our last example, dito naman, given yung hypotenuse naman. Hahanapin natin sukat ng dalawang legs. So, para makuha yung sukat ng C and D, ganito lang. C equals D equals E over square root of 2. Okay. So, paano siya? C is equal to D equals 22 over square root of 2. And then we will multiply both numerator by and denominator by square root of 2. So, magiging 22 square root of 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2, that is square root of 4. And square root of 4 is 2. Kaya magiging 2. Next, 22 divided by 2, that is 11. So our answer is 11 square root of 2. This means that C equals 11 square root of 2 and D is also 11 square root of 2. So for our next video lesson, we will be evaluating trigonometric expressions using special angles. So since dinerive na natin, nakuha na natin yung mga trigonometric ratios ng special angles, so gagamitin natin yung mga ratios na yon para ma-evaluate yung mga trigonometric expressions. So that would be all. Thank you.